Okay, so customer comes to me and says, I've got a Renault Megane Scenic. Someone's told me the wheel bearing on the driver's side needs replacing. So okay, quote it up, gets it back. Thought I'll just check it because you never know. And this is what I found. So, jack the car up. This is the passenger side wheel. So the handbrake's off inside the car. The wheel turns pretty good. Yeah? We go around to the driver's side. I can just about turn it with my hand. And if you listen, oh, you can hear it binding. Now if you look at the state of the discs, the pads are extremely low also. I've advised this customer she needs new rear discs and pads. However, there is a question over the caliper, but obviously I won't be able to know that until I get it all off, strip it off. I might be able to save it, I might not, but we'll give that a go now. Okay, so with this, jack the car up so the wheel's off the ground. Then you'll have one of these funny little keys. That takes that out. If you don't, a pair of long nose pliers does it. Drop the cap off. I'm going to use this as a little holder for my nuts and bolts, ideal. You're going to whip the wheel off. These are 17mm. Oh, you're not too tight. They're too tight. Get the breaker bar on them. Whip the wheel off. Wheels off. On closer inspection, look at the state of these discs. Heavily corroded. You can see where it's been binding. Look at the caliper and the pads. The pads are really, really low. The back's exactly the same. So, first things first, take your handbrake off. I'm going to whip this caliper off. They're a funny little fit. You need one of these. And this is an E18. If you can see that. 2 bolts. Show you. It's hard to do with one hand. There's one there, and you can see the one just past it. You can see it at the bottom. So I'm going to whip them 2 off now. And what you got to do is whip your caliper bolts out. One at the top, the 13mm. Just put a pair of mould grips on this little here, stop it spinning. And then another one just here. Whip them out, get a screwdriver. Make sure your handbrake's off. Otherwise this might take you a while. Give the caliper a wiggle. Off it pops. That exposes your brake pads. Just stay out of them. These flick out then. Get a screwdriver. Not just leave your carrier. I've already undone the top one. I'm doing it one-handed. Should get my tripod really, shouldn't I? Undo the bottom belt, whip the caliper off, it'll expose the disc. Yeah, the problem I've got is I seem to think that this caliper's seized because it was binding. What you've got to do is wind back that piston all the way back to the caliper. So this has got to come all the way down here. Now if you look, there's these 4 slats. You need a brake wind tool, one of these, and wind it back. But first of all I'm going to soak it in WD-40 because I've got a sneaky feeling this isn't going to work. But let's soak it first. Try and get as much WD inside there as you can and just try and free it off. If not, we'll have to whip it off and try and save it. Wish me luck. Okay, so with these, the bearings are in the discs. So we whipped the caliper off, moved it out of the way. Here's your brake disc. Then you need a 30mm socket. Whack that on the big hub nut. Wind it off. You'll see there's a bearing in there. That's why the discs are so expensive. You might have to tap it with a hammer. if you give it a wiggle, it comes off. If you compare the old to the new, you can absolutely see the difference. There's a new bearing in there, and there's the old one. Wow. Wow, gross. What I'm going to do now, and I'll put this back on without the disc on so I can wind that piston back. It's quite a handy little trick. Okay, so managed to wind the piston back with great force, but it did go back in the end. Put plenty of grease on the piston, to be fair, to try and help it a little bit along the way, try and save the caliper. Greased the sliders, which are in here. When you undo the 13mm, this pulls out. Put plenty of grease on the top one, put plenty of grease on the bottom one. Before I refitted the disc, put plenty of grease on the shaft, pushed the disc on, done the 30mm nut up, refitted the carrier, then put the pads on the carrier, put loads of grease on those as well to stop them sticking, refitted the caliper, and basically done everything up. Everything's nice and tight. Cleaned it off with a bit of brake cleaner, and there's the finished item. I only use Pagid. I never have any problems with them, to be fair. When I go with the cheaper stuff, sometimes they come back. But Pagid always fit the best. They might be a little bit more expensive, but to be fair, I don't think you can beat them. So far, so good. Now to the other side.